Hello, everybody. My name is Diana. I'm a biomedical engineer and web accessibility expert. And today I will tell you how to provide web accessibility audit for the site. And I will use an example, my site Totilo that I created a while ago. And we will check together whether it's accessible, what mistakes it has, what are the good sides of this site, if it has any, and if there are other things that could be changed in order to make it more accessible. Okay, so here's the site that we're gonna take a look at. This is totila.com, and first very important thing, no matter what kind of analysis you want to provide, is just to take a look at the site and to see whether you have some questions to it, whether all the informations are understood, whether you feel uncomfortable about some things, about some colors, or the movements of the slider, or flashing elements. So just take a look. Take a slow look just from up to bottom. And I can see that, well, it's quite readable. Mostly the fonts for now, it's dark color on white background. The thing that I see is that most probably the link is broken for the YouTube video. I can see iframe, but the video is unavailable. So this is one thing that I notice. But the rest, it seems for now quite fine. Yeah, here this is the part call to support. It's white font on dark background, so I think the contrast is quite good. Okay, and I think in the part health kit projects, it shouldn't move faster than 5 seconds, and I feel comfortable the way it moves. I can read the information of what it is, at least not really going into very much into detail, but the description is not too long, which is good. Okay. Yeah, so for now, everything seemed to be fine. This is just the first impression. Okay, and now the second part of accessibility analysis of the site is to check automatic mistakes. So I use the software Accessibility Insights for Web from Microsoft to check if it detects any automatic mistakes. So some failed instances, how they call it, things on which you better take a look at. And here it says for me that there are problems with the buttons. And so I think the buttons that they mean, I will show you with a visual helper. So the buttons that they mean, it's these, the tabs, at the bottom, the dots that help to move from one project to another on the slider. And I see that there is a problem with the description, well, with the subtitle that tells whether it's project with Arduino, or it uses artificial intelligence, or microbit electronic board, eHealth app, and so on. So it's gray on the white background, so the contrast is not, the color contrast is not sufficient enough for people with problems, with visual problems, and actually with any person. If you take a look, so you might feel that your eyes, they need to make an effort to read it, and it's much harder than if the font has sufficient contrast. There is also a problem with iframe, as I see. So frames, they should have an accessible name, and here there's a problem which is actually surprising because it's a frame of Google Map, and I thought that automatically it should be accessible, but it's not. It seems like it's not the case here. And there's a problem with the color contrast. Yeah, what I mentioned with the subtitle. Okay, so the next part to check a site whether it's accessible, it's connected to the keyboard, because some people, they cannot use mouse to access the site, to navigate through it. So we need to be sure that everything can be accessed, all the interactive elements, they should be accessed via tab or arrows. And that's what I'm gonna do. I will just go through the site using this using the keyboard, and I will check whether there are problems with navigation or some keyboard traps, or there is a problem when there is a focus on the element, or there are some keystroke timing that present, and it should follow. Okay, I will show you how it goes. So that's how I use the tab, and this will also tell me what is an order of the interactive elements that are accessible through the keyboard. Okay, so then we go to YouTube straight. Then we go to the part what we do. Okay. Buttons support our work. Then there is a slider. Okay. It seems like there is a problem with the slider in this section, Health Kit Projects. It's hard to navigate through. I don't understand where I am, and there seems to be even a visual problem exactly in this part. Okay, we get finally to the dots at the bottom, the tab that help us to move through the slider. Okay, here are the links that give us a link to go to other pages about e-health education. Okay, our publications. I didn't close this link, but I will do it later. Now, it's important to understand how it moves and whether the order is logical. Okay, then the phone, email, it's all with links, accessibility statement of the site, and the buttons, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and then Google Map. This is the last interactive element. Okay, there are a lot of buttons on it. And then there is the link to go back to the main page of the site, and the link to the site of the person who created the site. Okay, and button up, which is important to have. Okay, so I just did the analysis, and it seems like the only problem of the site about keyboard is the part Health Kit Projects, because we get trapped and we don't really understand where we are and for how long we need to press tab to move forward. Now, also about the focus. So I saw the focus where we were, but just about this section there was a problem. And yeah, so I will also try to go through it again, but using arrows. And we will see whether there are any problems revealing hidden content, like for example there were publications. So here I move with arrows. Okay, I should, it should move, but it doesn't show. Just a second, I will try to restart the focus part. Okay, so here it moves, but okay, so they don't allow me actually to check it with arrows, just with the tab. Okay, so we see the focus. Okay, we see when we get the focus on the elements. It would be better actually if when we have focus on the elements of what we do section, that it would become bigger so that we see that there is visually a focus on it, which we don't see, but this is something extra. Okay, call to sport. Again, we're in this section of health kit projects, which for sure has a problem. Okay, we see a focus on these elements to move the slider. Okay, and yeah, I see when the focus is on the links in the section 3, the beginner plan. Okay, and when it goes on the buttons contact us. Then there is part publications. So yeah, so it closes when I go to it. Let's try to open. Yeah, okay, so the element can be opened using enter on the keyboard. Okay, so here they are all the same standard, but it's better for the full audit. Right now I already provided an audit of this site, so I know where are the problems, and I put attention to the most problematic parts. But for the audit, it's important to check every single element to be sure, because sometimes they're coded differently. Okay, so there is a phone, and I can read on the left what it contains, what the link contains, whether it's right and where it's gonna lead. So here there is, for example, accessibility statement, and then there are buttons with social networks. Then we go again to the Google map with different buttons, so that we can work on the map and to change it according to what we need to see. Okay, so here is the link to the site and link to the creator of the site. Okay, so we checked the focus, and again there is a problem with the part health kit project. So I would say the keyboard and focus, these both parts, they have a problem. The next part that should be checked is landmarks. So we need to check that landmark region must have the role that best describes its content. So I will show you what automatically we see when we look at landmark role of this page. And there is a banner, navigation, main part, content info, and region, the card, the map. So here we see the navigation, the services, health kits, blog, and the footer. And on the top there is a part, the banner, and then we see that the main part starts, it goes through all the site, which seems to be logical, and then we have content info, this is the footer, and inside the footer we have a map. So I would say that we have no problems with the landmark roles here, and there's no repeating content, and the main landmark must contain all of the page's primary content, which is the truth in this case. So then we go to the headings, and this is quite tricky part, because there might be no missing headings, which is important part, but what is really important to take a look at is that all the headings, they should have hierarchy, the right hierarchy, and each one heading should be just one, and the heading of the same level, they should have the same size, the same color, and the same style. This is very important, and that's where there are a lot of problems with other sites, I can tell. So here we see that H2 has the same color, the same style, and the same font, which is great. We have just one H1 heading, which is also great. Now, here the problems start. About Totilo part, it's much smaller than the previous H2 level headings that we looked at. So this is the problem, and it should be corrected. And I think that subtitle low-tech solutions for better life, it shouldn't be as the header, because it's just subtitle, so it's not really the information that should be shown as the heading of something, because it's just subtitle. So this is the problem. Then what we do, it's H3 level, which is actually its subsection. So I would say that about Totilo should be H3. Low-tech solution for better life, it shouldn't be a heading at all. And what we do should actually stay the same. It should have the same font style and color as the heading about Totilo, which is the truth. So they should just be coded as the same heading level. Then what we see H4, which is quite logical, so we go lower in the level, and we see sub headings, which, well, we see headings in the section, so it's the titles, subtitles in the section, and I think H4 is perfect meaning for this. There is a masterclass webinars and they're much smaller, so it seems logical. They all have the same level. Then we have call to support with H3. I think it's perfect and it's the same. Well, it should be checked. I'm not sure. I will right now check with you what is the size of this font, because I'm actually not sure whether these sections. Okay, so here we have H3. I don't really see what is there. Oh yes, so it's 36px, the font size, and here call to support, it has 28px. So we see that there is a difference in size. First, with the first look, I couldn't even say for sure whether it's the same or no. But it seemed to be fine, more or less. But now I can see clearly that it's smaller and it has different color. So this is the problem. We need to have the same size, the same style, and the same color. So then we go to Health Kit projects, H3, perfect. But it's perfect, but it's not perfect exactly now because we have from the beginning coded it as H2, the headings for the sections, which should be different. And here we have for subtitles of the section H3, which should be H4, and H4 as there is a subtitle Arduino projects, microbit projects. First it's on the gray font on the white background, so this is not very much readable. And second, I wouldn't provide it as the heading. It shouldn't have a heading role. Okay, then how to participate? It's fine, it should be H3. But we have very big font for the subtitles in this section. And it should be H4. And the description, beginner plan, dreamer plan, explorer plan, I think it shouldn't be coded as headings at all. Our publications, that's good. And Totilo Health Kits, well, it's in the footer, is the name. It should be a logo, like it shouldn't be repeated. Actually, we have Totilo Health Kits, and then we have an image and the text with the image with the text. So it just repeats itself. We don't need this heading at all, I would say. And contact us, it's good. It's good. I think H4, it could be a good heading for it, but it should be coded, as I said before, with the same font, size, and color as other H4. So this was about headings. Then we go to the next part. It's about links, and we see whether there are any problems with links. Okay, why there are problems with these links? It's a little bit strange, but we have some links that don't have accessible name. So everything should be, well, preferably it should have, if an element functions as a custom widget, it should have an appropriate ARIA widget role. And for some elements, it's not coded correctly. So like for this for these links in the our publications section, which is strange because it should be coded the same, just like all of them. There are like 15 publications, but 2 of them, they are not coded correctly. Then what else is not coded correctly? So, okay, so there are just 2 links in our publications. So we need to change the ARIA widget role. And why it is important? It's important because we need to remember about when the user navigates through the content, we need to program it to function as something other than a link, in case if it's a custom widget. So for people who have a screen reader, so they will get the description, accessibility description of the element by how it's coded. So we need to give them an information what it is and how it behaves when you press it. Here it was not done for these 2 elements. Okay, then we have native widgets and custom widgets. And here are the native widgets. So we will see whether we have proper ARIA widget role for all of them. So what are native widgets? I will show you where they are here. So all of them, they actually in the Google Map. Yeah, so they are mostly buttons, which are in the Google Map iframe, and they have accessible names, so we can provide information to people that use screen reader what these buttons do. And about custom widgets, so I see that there are also no problems. So where our custom widgets, it's these small buttons in the slider that help us navigate through the parts in the section Health Kit projects. And also it's iframe, YouTube iframe. But here there's a link is broken, so we cannot really see all the interactive elements to check whether they're coded correctly. This is another problem. So the link should be changed. It shouldn't be broken. We need to replace it, and then we will get information about all the interactive elements inside this iframe, and this should be checked another time when it's working. Okay, so then we check, we don't really have timed events. This is important to remember about. So when on the side there is something that tells you to answer within 5 seconds or do something during quite limited time, we need to remember that some people, they need more time, some people, they cannot use the mouse, or some people, they have a problem reading fast. There are so many disabilities and so many problems that people might have if you give them a limited time to do something. So this shouldn't be, or the time should be, we should be able to extend the time to give decision or to provide some action. So here on the side, on this page specifically, there are no such elements. The errors also I don't find, but quite common part is when a site has, for example, account button to create or to enter, and we should have always very detailed explanation if there is some error or something that doesn't allow us to get in, because many sites, they just make a frame, like for example email address, and you write instead of email address just symbols, because for example if you cannot see it, if you're a person with a screen reader, you might not understand, or for example maybe it's not even written that you should put inside email address. So the person is writing, for example, the name, and then he cannot enter, but also he doesn't understand what is the mistake because the description about the error is not provided. So it's very important to write, you need to, in order to access, you need to put working email, for example, something like this. But there should be explanations and descriptions about this part. Okay, then we go to page navigation. So yeah, the page title is Total Health Kits according to the analysis, accessibility analysis, of course. A web page must have a title that describes its topic or purpose. So in this case, it's fine because it's a main page of the site. So, but we could also add something like Total Health Kits. Like, for example, at the bottom in the footer, we see that it's written low-tech projects and solutions for healthier and more efficient life. So maybe Total Health Kits, low-tech projects, or Total Health Kits, e-health solutions. Something like this will describe better what it is on the page. Then the next part is parsing. So what is parsing? So the elements must have complete start and end tags, must not contain duplicate attributes, and must be nested according to their specifications. So there is a site, new HTML checker, that is used to check whether there are mistakes in the code. And here, yes, there are mistakes in the code that were found, and I will try to open to show you what are the mistakes. So I hope it's going to be seen. Yes. So this is a site that help us to check HTML and to get understanding whether there are any errors. But in this case specifically, so there are no there are problems like, for example, the tag BR or the tag span. So there are such things, but all of these errors, they should be solved because when people, they are using like accessibility devices, like technologies that help them to understand and to go through the web, the devices might not work properly if there are mistakes in the code. So it's very important to check and to correct all these problems. So that's how it works. And then we have, so there might be a problem, a lot of problems actually, they come with images, but not on this site. So I checked how it works because it should be coded. There are several things that should be checked. Every image must be coded as either meaningful or decorative. So meaningful if the information cannot be, we cannot get it from any other place or from any other text, and it really is valuable. Decorative image, it's the image that you could take it away from the site and the meaning will not change. So I will show you. Yeah, these are the images that I found through the check, through the analysis. Yeah, and they are coded correctly. Like, for example, I can show you, like, for example, the first one, the background image, it's decorative. Because this image, we can change it to any other image and it will be the same. The most important is this headings that we see on the left. Get to know your body, use new technologies, boost your career. But for example, the second one, photo with sensors and electronic board. Well, technically, I would say that this should be also decorative. The images on the left from like from the list, understanding how your body works, understanding how to measure body and external parameters. These are images. First, well, it's better to actually better to check how it's coded in order to understand if it's coded properly. Okay, because all the lists, yeah. So we use the tag ul, li, and for the list, for the structured list. Sorry, for unstructured list here, because structured is with the numbers. Like when we know the order of the elements in the list. Here it's not like this. Here we can change an order. We can just move the elements, but it will not change the meaning of the list. But so they are coded properly, and the images, they are coded as decorative. This is good. Here, what it is here. So where are the meaningful images? Okay, so I found where it is. So for example, here, master classes. This image, I would code it as meaningful, because to understand what is master classes, what are they, what is going on during them, and what people are working with during these master classes, it's important to show them a picture. What exactly? The sensors, the wires, electronic boards. So we see that it's about hardware, it's about touching materials, it's about working with something that we can change and we can touch. So I would say this image is meaningful. And yeah, and for example, the footer, it's meaningful image, because if we change it to any other image, the meaning of the logotype will change. The logotype will change, and it should be unique to represent the product, to represent the site. Okay, and we don't have CAPTCHA on this side. It's important that if a CAPTCHA is used, alternative methods must be provided for both users without vision and users without hearing. And images of text, so I have several, like for example, a logotype that we saw. But for logotype, it's kind of it can be used for logotypes, or it can be used when it's needed, when it's really cannot be changed. But in all other situations, we need to replace the text on the images by the text, like by the font, and the just to write it down on the side, to code it inside, because for the screen reader it's much harder to get information from the image with the text, especially if no alternative text was provided. Which brings me to the next part. Every meaningful image must have a text alternative that serves the equivalent purpose. So for decorative images, we don't need to provide alternative text, but for meaningful, we do. And that's the part where I think artificial intelligence cannot really understand how exactly we can code the technology to recognize whether an image is meaningful or decorative. Only a person can do it. It's about understanding the site, understanding what can be removed and what cannot, where the meaning is important or where it's not. It's really about uh, associative thinking, and I believe here it's impossible really for technologies yet to understand it properly and to be 100% correct. While for human it's much easier to understand it. And this is the part about meaningful and decorative images and alternative text. This is where a big amount of mistakes in accessibility come, and these can be checked only by experts, only by humans. Because even if you have automatic tool to check, they will say like, okay, we think that maybe it should be with alternative text, but it doesn't mean that you should put everywhere alternative text for every image that automatic tool tells you. You should check whether it's meaningful or decorative, and this takes time. Sometimes for some sites it's thousands of images, but in order to be accessible you need to check them. Okay, so then the language. It's important to check the language of the page, and it should have correct default language. We will check right now. So I will inspect and see, it should be in the beginning of the code. Oh yes, so we have HTML lang equals in, because it's English language of this page. And here we see the button with FR, so there's also a French version of this page. But we have it, and then we move to sensory. So we check color as meaning, whether we can turn off the color on all the page to check if it makes something different in understanding the information. So that's what I will do. And like for example, it's about instructions. If it says, okay, you need to like input information in red, or you need to check, click on the red button to follow, this shouldn't be, because this doesn't allow people with vision problems to access and to do some actions on the site. Okay, so here it seems correct. Then we will check adaptable content. There's a problem with orientation on this page. Yeah, so when we see this iframe for YouTube, if we check and we make, for example, mobile version, we see that it doesn't really move. It has a problem here. So the video is just, we have half of the screen for the iframe, and we don't see the right side of a video. This is the problem. It should be responsive, while here we don't see such case. Okay, so there's a problem with orientation. We should really, like any web content, must not be locked to a particular screen orientation, and here it's locked to computer screen orientation, while for mobile it doesn't work. So this should be changed. What else are the things? So we don't really have audio video content. We have a video content, but the link is broken, so we cannot check this. No other multimedia presented. And we see that, for example, CSS positioning. So if we turn off all the designs, the CSS on this side, we disable all the styles, that's how it will look. It's important to check whether we have problems with resolution, with the images, whether some information just get lost. Sometimes it happens. Like for example here, there's a problem again with health kit projects, this section. We see that it's just empty for a long time. Here there seem to be errors, but I don't see any information. So this is the problem. Yeah, this problem really has a lot of problems, the most inaccessible part, because everything else seemed to be fine, except headings and some other minor problems. But the rest, yeah. And this is also a very good tool, web developer. It's one of the extensions that I use. Okay, so here we checked it. So CSS positioning has a problem in health kit project section, and there is a problem with so I didn't find any contrast problems. I will check again with you. So that's where we check the color of the font and the background, and we check the contrast ratio. because visual information it's used to identify active user interface components and their states, and it should have sufficient contrast. In our case, so it should have a contrast ratio of at least 3 to 1, and that's what we actually see here. I will go through the site to show you how it looks. So yeah, so here it's all quite good. Yeah, I unfortunately don't have. Oh yeah, wait, but I have Wave, so I will try to show how it looks, Wave evaluation tool, to show you the contrast, whether it's good. Yeah, but for example here, so we have where it is. Okay, so yeah, so they say literally that there is a problem with the tabs, like again in the slider in the section Health Kit Projects, which is again here, again the same section. This is quite annoying. Yeah, but here the masterclass is like this is mostly the color approximately. Well, technically, let's take a look precisely what is the color, and I will check it. I will check it in front of you. What is exactly the... Okay, so we have literally black color. This is the color of the font. It's 6x1, and that's what I will put. And we will check precisely the ratio. So the best ratio possible, black on white, it's 18.88 to 1. And this is a very good ratio, so we pass both WCAG AA and WCAG AAA test. But you can see that if we move lighter, soon we will fail AAA, but we will still pass AA. And then, yeah, here the 4.5 is where we fail AA as well. Okay. Okay, so here is my final report for web accessibility of the site Totilo Health Kits. So here you can see that it's 88% accessible, and 12% mostly it comes from that part Health Kit projects. And we went through automatic checks and through the checks of all the parts of the site, and we checked all together what are the problems. So yeah, there are mostly the problems with that part, but there are also some problems with the headings, with the focus, the keyboard, and also with links, parsing. So there are problems with the codes inside HTML, and the problem with the YouTube player for mobile layout. There is a problem with CSS positioning for Health Kit projects section. Yes, but that's it. So as we don't have flashing, moving, very fast content or well, working video content, so it makes it not so hard, and we don't have programming interfaces on the page, so we don't have so many mistakes. It's just text with images, and still we're not 100% accessible. Well, this site is not, but when all these problems they are corrected, then we might have close to 100%. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I hope it will help you to provide web accessibility audit for your site. Thank you.